So what they decided to do next was scope my urinary tract, which if you are a young person again, or anyone, is just really an uncomfortable idea. All I'm gonna say is they send tubes where you don't want tubes to be sent. Do with that information what you will, it's not a pleasant experience. If you're trying to lose weight, there's a lot of different diets that you can try. You can try to be vegetarian, you can try to be vegan, you can try to be omnivore, pescatarian, carnivore, you name it, it's out there. Well, when I was 17 years old, I actually decided to go the vegan route. But what I didn't realize is that a lot of these diets can actually hurt your internal organs depending on your genetic makeup. And that's exactly what happened to me with the vegan diet. I ended up almost losing an important organ that I kind of never expected to lose just because I went vegan and no one even warned me that this was a possibility. And so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing how the vegan diet almost cost me my prostate at the age of 17 and how you can avoid having the same problems. So getting into the video, we need to talk about first, what is a vegan diet and why did I pursue it? Well, at the age of 17, I was just like anyone else and I was trying to lose weight. However, I didn't know anything about nutrition. I had no idea what I was doing, and up until then, all I'd done were these crash diets where I'd been doing gymnastics for 5 hours a day, eating one meal, not paying attention to the quality of nutrition I was putting in. And so I thought that the magic fix for me to finally get abs, get the look that I wanted, have all my friends look at me and think I was awesome, was to do the vegan diet. I was actually following this vegan nutritionist at the time named Simnet Nutrition on YouTube, and I got completely inspired by the guy to get out and make a change. So I had actually been vegetarian for most of my life up until about high school because of my Indian heritage. And so I didn't really think that this would be a problem to kind of return to that route and even surpass it by cutting out completely anything related to animals. And so the first thing that I did was cut out everything sort of chicken, eggs, dairy, all of that normal stuff that kind of goes out the window when you start veganism. I also started to incorporate more raw foods like salads, although I did make sure to have dressings with fat in them. For protein sources, I went for things like chickpeas, lentils, anything that was plant-based that was just a good source of protein that could replace my previous diet, which was mostly focused around chicken, egg whites, and low-fat dairy for my sources of protein. I never really had red meat until recently, and I never really strayed from those protein sources that I just mentioned. But things started off really weirdly. At first I was eating clean, I was eating all the vegan meals, and I felt fine. I felt like I had this good energy, but two weird things started happening that really tipped me off that things weren't going well in my body. Number one was intense burning urination that I'd never had in my life before. I had to pee all the time, and then every time I did, it was burning. And as someone who's 17, that is vastly concerning because you're like, man, I'm invincible at 17. Like, what the heck is going on? Why is this happening to me? The second thing that bothered me was intense pelvic pains, to the point where I couldn't even sit down in my car. Now, as you guys know, I love driving. And so every time I had to drive, I now had to put down a pillow, like a foam prostate pillow, around my butt before I sat down. And you can imagine how that feels when you're 17 and a lot of your friends are looking at you and, you know, they're like, man, you guys want to go drive down to Whataburger? Yeah, for sure, man. All right, let me get my donut out. Whoa, what's happening with the donut, man? Why are you doing that? Why do you need a donut? Are you an old man? No. Things happen when you're young. Do they? Do they really happen when you're? Yeah, no, I swear, man. I swear. My doctor says it's normal. Those are the kind of interactions I'm talking about. It's not really fun when you're 17. So although I hate to say it, my cool factor was really going down with this vegan diet, and not for the reasons that you probably think. Now at the time I was also dating a girl and she was actually very understanding about the subject. She was like, no, that's totally fine. You know what? Everyone has problems in burning urination and wears donuts. Like, it's cool. And I was thinking, man, you are clearly way too emotionally mature for me to be dating right now. I was just not in that space. I was like, I want to be cool. I want to drive my car. I want to blast my music. And I'm going to do it all while I'm not wearing a stupid donut underneath my butt. I don't care how much pain I'm in. So I had no idea why this was going on. So I went to some specialists and they kind of checked me out and they're like, it sounds like you just have an inflammation of the prostate or something like that. And they gave me some medication and put me on my way. I took the medication for like 2-3 weeks like I was supposed to. Absolutely no improvement. Still had no idea what was going on, trying to manage school while I was doing this. I was a sophomore in college at the time. So like a few months later, I'm still following up with people, still like, man, why is this burning urination happening? Why am I wearing my stupid donut? And I go to this urologist, and basically everyone's still on the prostatitis train, which is basically an inflammation of your prostate gland, which is quite rare if you're not old, basically. Like, your prostate usually doesn't bother you at a young age. So what they decided to do next was scope my urinary tract, which, if you are a young person again, or anyone, is just really an uncomfortable idea. All I'm gonna say is they send tubes where you don't want tubes to be sent. Do with that information what you will. It's not a pleasant experience. And after all that, they said, well, we couldn't find anything, so you know what we should do? We should completely remove your prostate. And I said, what? Why would you do that? And they're like, well, you know, we can't find anything, so that must be the only thing that's left. Let's just go ahead and remove the prostate. And I said no. I was terrified. I was like, there is no way you guys are taking my prostate. I'm going to figure this out. I don't care. I'll live with it, but we don't need to do that right now. And so I decided to forego the treatment and continue on. And so obviously I just kind of didn't deal with it. I went to investment banking. I just, restarted my old diet at some point. I gave up on veganism because it just felt too hard. And my symptoms actually just started to disappear. And I had no idea whatever caused them, why they went away, why they didn't come back, until my burnout. So obviously I burned out super hard. I landed up in the hospital, and I'll make sure to link that video so that you can learn fully what led to me kind of overtraining and burning out, and the whole reason that I'm making this channel. Obviously, after all that, I've been trying to reclaim my hormonal health, my physical health, all of that. And so at first what I did was I didn't eat a lot of red meat. I focused on more plant-based proteins because that's what everyone had been saying was very healthy, right? Lots of monounsaturated fats, excess animal protein strains the kidneys, etc., etc. But my symptoms actually started to come back. And it was around this time that I also discovered Paul Saladino. But the interesting thing that I learned from Paul is that there are these things called oxalates that can really impact your kidneys, and certain people are more prone to developing kidney stones from oxalates than others. And oxalates are found in tons and tons of plant foods, and even a lot of just normal healthy foods that we would think about. Now this includes things like spinach, certain fruits like raspberries and blackberries, brown rice because of the husk. They're also present in almonds and cashews in high doses, and of course the main plant proteins, which include chickpeas, black beans, or lentils. So I was eating more of these things as I was trying to recover in my early phases, and wouldn't you know it, the burning urination started to come back, and I started to feel kind of pains in the lower back region as well. And I started to read more from Paul Saladino and realized, hey, I might have a kidney stone. And so I went to my urologist, a new one this time, and this time they actually found that I did have a kidney stone, which means that I most likely had one before as well, because people who have kidney stones are usually prone to actually getting them, and I had the most common type, which is the calcium oxalate stone. And the urologist, and what I learned from Paul Saladino, also told me that the only way to prevent oxalate stones is to pair your oxalates with calcium-rich foods, because oxalates actually leach calcium from your blood and your bones, and they can make you weak over time if you're overdoing the oxalates. And so it all kind of clicked for me at this point. My vegan diet had actually caused this burning urination because I had probably developed kidney stones at the time I was doing it. I had eliminated all my dairy, which meant that calcium was no longer flowing in, and I was eating all of these oxalate-rich foods. And clearly I'm someone who's predisposed to calcium oxalate stones. Okay, so you know my story. Now the real question is, what should you do with this information, and why should you care? Well, I'm sharing this information because this is, of course, a health and wellness channel. And I'm sure there are a lot more people than just me who are predisposed to calcium oxalate stones and might even be experiencing some of the same painful symptoms that I was, and not really understanding why. And especially if you are experiencing these things and you're going to your doctor and they might even suggest removing your prostate or some sort of important organ, and you can save that by just directing them to a kidney stone, then I think that this video is worth it in and of itself, just because it might help someone else. But what can you do if you believe this is happening to you and you want to test it? Well, number one, reduce high oxalate foods. You want to reduce your consumption of chickpeas, lentils, beans. Stop eating things like almonds, cashews. Even eliminate some fruits like raspberries and blackberries, which are particularly high in oxalates. You're also going to want to stay away from your whole grain stuff. So no more brown rice, stick to the white rice. Yes, I know it's harder to control on your diet, but you can find other ways to have satiety with low oxalate vegetables or adding more fiber into your diet. I would also say up the meat content. A lot of people told me that meat was actually bad for the kidneys, But after watching more of Paul Saladino's content, I started to understand that meat actually doesn't have any oxalates inherently in it. And even my urologist explained to me that it's probably okay to eat almost as much meat as you want because meat actually just doesn't really tax the kidneys. There's nothing in there in particular that could cause any sort of gut irritation or kidney irritation or urinary irritation unless you're eating very, very lean cuts of meat, like just 99% lean ground turkey breast, and you're eating it in vast amounts. And at that point, it might overwhelm your kidneys. But if you are experiencing oxalate issues, then try upping the amount of animal protein in your diet, right? Try to get your protein mainly from animal sources, and also, more importantly, add back in dairy into your diet. Now, I know that a lot of people have sensitivity to dairy, so what you can do is get any sort of fortified nut milk that has calcium in it. And it could be almond milk, because the whole point of reducing the oxalate impact is just to add in calcium so that it helps bind it up. You still don't want to overdo your oxalates, but if you're having a little bit of almond milk and that's your only source of oxalate, but you're also getting a lot of calcium, I think that's totally fine. So since then, I've basically transitioned to a much more balanced diet. I reduced the amount of oxalates in my diet. I still don't really eat raspberries. I don't eat spinach. I don't eat almonds or cashews. I find that not only does my burning urination come back, but now it's also been accompanied by joint pains and other symptoms. So I just don't do that. But I wanted to make this video so that I could share the information that I've learned, and hopefully it can help some of you guys if you are experiencing burning urination or you suspect that you've been having any sort of sensitivity to these compounds. So that's the story of how veganism almost cost me my prostate at the age of 17, and how Paul Saladino's information has helped me not only figure out what was happening to me then, but has helped me fix my gut and sensitivities as I'm moving forward with recovery right now. Comment down below, what kind of diet do you follow? Are you encountering any of the same symptoms? If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you can stay up to date when I post new content. Good luck navigating the dangerous world of oxalates, and I will see you in the next video.